Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, visiting North Strand Nissan, and I'm checking out a 2022 Nissan Pathfinder in the SL trim level at night. So this video focuses on the interior and exterior lighting of the vehicle. Check my channel for the full overview. So first I want to point out that you cannot turn off all the exterior lights when the vehicle is running. So right now I have the engine running and the parking brake on, and you still have these very bright daytime running lights, LED daytime running lights here in the front. And they're bright enough to where you may mistake these as headlights. So you want to make sure that you use the automatic function, because you do not have tail lights when these are illuminated. When I turn on the parking lights, these very bright daytime running lights are still illuminated. We also have now this amber light that's up here on the side, this side marker. Now you can see those daytime running lights from the front and the side, so they kind of serve as a side marker as well, in addition to this amber light. There is a red side marker here in the back when you have the tail lights on, and right above it is a portion of the tail lights, which, since they wrap around the side of the vehicle, they're seen from the side and the back. And they are a nice deep red. The camera kind of makes them look a little orangey or ambery, but it is definitely a nice red color. So now I have the turn signal on, and it's an amber turn signal here in the front, and it's a standard halogen bulb, so you can see it slowly fading in and out. It's not an LED like the rest of the lights here. So as I dim the camera, so you can see a little bit better, because that daytime running light does kind of blast out the camera a little bit. Now there is an LED side marker or turn signal indicator on the side mirror, and it's not very visible during the day, but you definitely can see it at night. You can see in the front, the side, and the back. And there's the turn signal here in the back. It's amber in color, and it is a standard bulb. The tail lights are LED, but the reverse lights and turn signals are standard bulbs. Now I have the low beams on, and you can see it's a multi-reflector LED system. So there's multiple reflectors here that illuminate in different directions to get a better pattern on the road for your low beams. And the fog lights are in a projector. It's a little focus beam LED here for the fog lights. Now there's a little cutoff here, you can see in the bushes there, to where it keeps from going too high and blinding other people for the low beams. Now let's go ahead and put the high beams on so you can see the difference. There's low beams and there's high beams. When we put the high beams on, there's additional lights that actually turn on. So you can see that lower portion is now illuminated. So the high beams occupy this lower reflector housing. So as we move in, I lower the brightness on the camera, you can see these top ones here, these top lights are the low beams, and the bottom one is the high beam right here. So in combination, it illuminates quite well in front of the vehicle. When you turn the high beams on, the fog lights turn off though. The tag lights illuminate the ground slightly, so it could kind of serve as an approach light. And here's the cargo area, and the only light that's here, there is some backlit buttons here for closing the liftgate there. But the only light that's in the cargo area is this very dim halogen bulb that's underneath the liftgate. So it kind of serves as an over-the-shoulder type light, but it's pretty bright here in this parking lot, and you can barely, you can't really see back here. There's more light being cast from distant lights in the parking lot from this than this light here. So either this can be upgraded with a brighter bulb to help out, or they just need to, you know, have a better design. This is a very poor design. I mean, I like the over-the-shoulder light. I like that idea. It's just not bright enough, and there's only one, so it's very easily obscured if you stand, you know, in front of it. And there's no lights here in the cargo area whatsoever. The third row has this light here, relatively dim, that illuminates the third row, but it doesn't cast any light back here. I mean, it's just completely dark. So the third row, there's that light, not very bright, and we have black interior, which doesn't help. So I've got this camera turned up pretty good. Let's try to make it a little bit brighter here. I'm gonna blast it out. I mean, just crazy amount of brightness added to the camera in order to see anything hardly. So right there is what it looks like to my eyes, to give you an idea of what it looks like. It's not very bright at all. All right, the second row, it does have a light on each side of this panoramic sunroof, and it's a little bit better since there's two lights. But you know, with the shade shut and no light coming in, the actual lights of the vehicle, not very good. So these cup holders are dark. This compartment here in the center is dark. There is some backlit buttons here for the climate control and USB ports, but other than that, it's pretty much dark. Even the inside of the door, the only light that it has is this little indicator light for the power window. Other than that, it's completely dark. Now the front door does have a puddle light. It is a halogen bulb. It's not super bright, but it does give you some light on the ground so you can see what you're stepping in when you're going in and out of the vehicle, which is nice. And you can see some backlit buttons here for your controls, but other than that, completely dark door. And the floorboard is dark, and there's a compartment under here that is dark as well. So let me see if I can jack up the camera really bright so you can see what I'm talking about. There's a compartment down there just like super duper dark. And once again, this is what it looks like to my eyes, just nothing there. And there's some backlit buttons here. There's center dome lights is the only interior lights here in the center, in the front here, so you can get your bearings. Okay, so now I have the door open with the interior lights on, so you can see what's going on here. When I shut the door, see what we're left with. We have some backlit illuminated buttons here on the steering wheel. The gauges look nice and bright. And I have the brightness turned up, so you can adjust the brightness. I can adjust the brightness down. The flickering you say is from the camera. It's not coming from the actual car. See if I can make that go away a little bit. But the brightness is controlled. It controls the gauges, but also some stuff down here as well. The screen here has a day and night mode here, and you can adjust the brightness. So we have some backlit buttons. Some of this is just completely dark, like the headlight controls are dark, and we have some stuff going on here that's illuminated. There's a compartment in here that has backlit USB ports, and there's also a relatively dim light in here, which is enough, I think, for this compartment. It's barely adequate, but it is enough to illuminate that compartment. So you can see my hand is illuminated, so if you put something in here, it will illuminate it. It's just black on the inside, so it's kind of hard to see. gears on top of the shifter are illuminated, so you can see what's going on there, what gear you're in. The cup holders are completely dark. We have some backlit buttons here, but there's a little compartment here that's dark. And this armrest, and underneath the armrest, this compartment that you cannot see at all right now. Let me turn on the interior light so you can see what I'm talking about. Here is this compartment, and it is totally dark. When I turn the light out, it disappears. So that's surprising. What's even more surprising is the glove compartment. We might as well just leave the interior lights on so you can see. There's a little storage shelf here that's dark. The glove compartment, no light in the glove compartment. $45,000 vehicle, no light in the glove compartment. Just want to point that out. Seems like it's a trend for modern vehicles now. Had lights in the glove compartment and cheap vehicles in the 70s, but now modern vehicles, it seems like, you know, they just go downhill as far as the lighting for some reason. Alright, now the headlights are actually pretty dang good though. Compartment lighting, for some reason, has been an issue in modern times, but headlights are actually usually getting better. There's a couple of them on the market that's pretty lame. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and put the camera on so you can see actually pretty decent around the vehicle. And when I move into this darker area, you can see pretty good. So, not too bad. Alright, so now I have the vehicle positioned a little bit better to show off the headlights. And that's in the low beams, and there's the high beams. So there's low beams and high beams, and it seems like it cuts off, the cutoff is very low on the low beams, and then the high beams aren't quite as high as you would think. So, you know, not really sure how far they're good and go down the road all that great, but they look pretty good. I mean, they have a nice even light, and from this view there's some dark shadows to the right and left. So that's high beams, and it's kind of surprising that's the high beams. The low beams are actually pretty good, but the high beams seem to be a little bit lacking, considering you have all those reflector LEDs. It seems to not really have the full coverage that you would think. They're not bad lights, but you would think they'd be a little bit better.